Hi everyone, I'm Pratishtha. I'm a clinical psychologist, and today we'll be talking about motivation. I'm sure all of you have had those days where just getting out of bed or being focused towards what you have to do, whether it's your work or maybe even a social event or your workout routine, just seems a little too hard. I know I've had those days. In fact, one of the frequent things that I hear in sessions is when someone comes and says that, hey, everything is going fine, but sometimes I just don't feel like doing anything. If you've been feeling like that, you're not alone. We're human, and it's not easy to be equally excited, equally motivated each day. Today we'll be talking about how can you find your motivation on such difficult days and feel excited to do the things that you want to do with your day. So let's start with understanding what motivation is exactly. Simply put, motivation is the energy or the drive to act on some goal. It can be internal. You can be motivated by your own values, you can be motivated by a curiosity to learn, or you can be motivated by just the sheer joy of doing something. Or motivation can be external, which means some rewards or some recognition can make you feel excited, or it can be sometimes it can be avoiding a negative outcome, such as any negative consequence or a punishment that may happen if you don't meet a deadline. So sometimes motivation can come externally. Irrespective of wherever it comes, it is definitely not something which will happen magically. Let's take a moment to understand what really comes in the way of feeling motivated, what interrupts our motivation. What gets us motivated is different for all of us, and which means what interrupts our motivation would also be different for all of us. But few things are common which can interrupt our motivation. The most common being just burnout. If you are exhausted, if you're physically tired, if you're mentally tired because of the sheer amount of things you're doing on an everyday basis, it's going to be very difficult to get motivated. So know that it's not laziness, it's sheer exhaustion. Another thing that can come in the way is overwhelm or emotional overwhelm. Sometimes we may set too many goals for us. Exercise also, workout also, social event also. And when we set so many goals for ourselves, we are likely to get overwhelmed and freeze or even procrastinate. I need to do this to get started on something like that. So emotional overwhelm can sometimes present as procrastination. That's another common reason that people don't feel motivated. Sometimes lack of clarity. If you don't know why you are supposed to do something, the how will definitely be difficult. So if you don't know what will you achieve if you do a task, or what's the actual bigger purpose of doing this, that can also interfere with motivation. Fear of judgment, that's an important one. Many of us feel demotivated because we think that if you're going to perform, if you're going to do some task, we will not be good at it. And that can be scary. Worrying about that I'm not going to be good at something can really bring our energy down. That's often personally gotten me demotivated, gotten me, a little unsure about what I'm trying to do. And a similar thing which often results in procrastination is wanting to do things perfectly. If you set a goal for yourself, if you set a task for yourself, and you expect that at the end of it, when it will be done, it will be perfect, that can be a difficult thing to achieve. Almost, some would say it's almost impossible to achieve. But because you're then not able to achieve this perfect outcome or perfect reality, that's not going to happen, and hence you don't feel up to doing it because perfectionism is not going to be achieved. So perfectionism is another reason that you can feel a little lost, or rather wanting to be perfect is a reason that you can feel demotivated. And lastly, one of the interesting things, because it doesn't seem as obvious, is a dopamine hijack. What it means is you start to feel good because of something else instead of the goal accomplishment that you set for yourself. For example, one of the things that often distracts people is spending time on social media, right? So the social media scrolling makes you feel good. So you're feeling good, right? The way goal accomplishment can make you feel good. So you're already feeling good, and that's enough. Now you don't need to do anything else, such as actually work on a task to feel good. So a dopamine replacement, you found a dopamine replacement, and hence you're not really driven. It's like you were working towards feeling good, you already felt good, so now you don't need to do anything. So these are things which can often interrupt motivation, and it's important to understand which one is it for you. It can be different at different times, and it's important to understand which one is it for you so that you can address it specifically. Let's start with discussing few simple things that can help bring your motivation back. What happens for most of us is that when our brain thinks that a task is too big, it automatically becomes slightly averse to it, and it automatically starts becoming a little resistant to it. So one of the things that you can do to feel motivated, or rather act even without feeling motivated, is start small, right? You don't have to climb the mountain in the first step. It's okay if you just start with wearing your shoes. So let's take that analogy to try that strategy in action. So start small. For example, if you have a project to do, if you tell yourself, okay, I have to complete the project. Now that's the last step. That can't possibly be the first step. What would be the first step? Okay, let me do half an hour of research, or maybe even 15 minutes if half an hour seems too much, or maybe just let me sit on my work desk, let me turn on my laptop and start with it. So do not equate your goal with the first step. Start small so that your brain reduces the resistance, so the friction is a little less. The next is a little bit of a hack. What you can do is, it's called the 2-minute rule. So if there is a task which can be done in 2 minutes, it's best that you do it right away, right? Now, of course, I know very few tasks can be done in 2 minutes. So let me rephrase it. If the first step of a task can be done in 2 minutes, or break it down into a 2-minute action and do it right away. So if it is, for example, like I gave the example of starting a project report, the first 2 minutes could be, or you open a document and just say, okay, project report XYZ. Just write that name down and write down the thoughts that come to you in the next 2 minutes. So do the 2-minute task. Often what we struggle with is an initiation problem. We may not have a sustaining problem, but an initiation problem is equally unhelpful or equally interfering. So the 2-minute rule will help you get over that inertia. So do the things which can be done in 2 minutes immediately, don't delay it. So that's strategy number 1 for you, start small. The next thing, and probably I personally feel it's the most important thing, is to reconnect, or rather connect with your purpose. Answer the why. Why do you want to accomplish this goal? Why is it important for you? And as they say, once you know the why, the how is the easy bit. How can you figure out the why? I think a good way to start is what can we call the why audit. Ask yourself, why is this task, why is this goal important for me? And dig deep in there, do a deep dive and ask the same why question 3 to 5 times. So for example, if my goal is I want to start exercising regularly, then I ask myself, hey, why is it important for me to exercise regularly? A why audit would then it would require me to ask that question of me a few times. So why is working out important to me? Okay, because I want to be healthy. Why is staying healthy important for me? It's important for me so that I can enjoy good memories, good experiences with my loved ones. Why is that important for me? It's important for me because spending time with loved ones is an important value for me. So now exercising is not just about exercising. It's about a long-term, or rather a value alignment that I have in my life, which is having positive experiences with my loved one, and exercise will help me have the energy to have those experiences. So that's how I'm connecting the action or the small task of exercising with something which is much more meaningful for me. Discipline, perseverance is hard, but the purpose, when you add purpose to it, it becomes slightly easier. Now let's move to a much more, tangible strategy, which is designing your environment in a way that it is motivation friendly. Many times we undermine how much our surroundings play a role in how well we perform or how we are feeling. But trust me, it plays a big role. There's this entire concept of choice architecture, which says small things like how even options are presented to you impact what is the final decision that you're going to make. So let's try to use, designing your environment to increase your motivation and the likelihood that you're going to get things done. The first thing is design your environment in a way that makes taking action much more easier than avoidance. For example, if you want to read more, now reading more is a popular goal for many people. So you have to design your environment for it, which means keep books around you accessible at all times. So the minute you want to read, a book is right next to you. You don't have to even go to the other room, or you don't have to do something. You don't have to order the book right away, right? So design your environment so that taking the first step is much easier than not taking it. Reduce the resistance, reduce the obstacles. The next is make things visual, put reminders, visual cues, trackers on how progress is being made, and that can help you. When you see that progress actually being made, you will find yourself to be more motivated. For example, if you have a reading goal, like I said, if on a calendar you put a tick every time, you will feel more motivated. Or you keep your laptop background or your phone background as a reminder to read more. And when you do that consistently, you will see that every day it becomes slightly easier to achieve that goal. What can also be done to improve your motivation is break down your goals and reward yourself. For example, suppose your goal is to lose weight, or your goal is to complete a thesis. You know that it's going to take approximately 6 months or a year to reach what you're going to do, but break it down into what it's going to look like on an everyday basis. For example, if your goal is to reach your target weight, maybe the daily version of that goal is to go for a walk for 30 minutes each day. And now when you go for a walk that day, you can give yourself a little take, pat yourself on the back and say, hey, I did my goal for today. Right? And that way you can build on it. And every time you make progress, say on a 1 week mark, on a 1 month mark, reward yourself. You worked hard, you've made that progress. It's important to award yourself or reward yourself for these small wins as well. All of us think that, hey, this is nothing. My big goal is so much further away. Why should I reward myself? But the reality is that, rewards make us feel good. And when we feel happier, when we feel good, we are more likely to be motivated. So don't undermine the value of acknowledging small wins and rewarding and appreciating yourself on the small wins. Many people believe that, motivation happens, you feel motivated, and then you take action. But in reality, it's the other way around. Action precedes emotion, the emotion of motivation. So if you're going to wait to feel motivated and then I'll take action, it's not the right time, I'm not in the right headspace, then you might go into the rabbit hole of procrastination. The reality is once you start taking action, you start feeling motivated. So the strategy to take care of it can be called the countdown, strategy, whereas you tell yourself, you count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and just take that action. Interrupt hesitation, interrupt overthinking that will make you not take action. Just act. It would be too far a stretch to say act without thinking, but don't give yourself time to think too much. Small steps don't require that kind of thinking. Once you have taken action, not only would you feel good, but you would have more information to actually make more informed decision about your action. So especially for small goals, don't overthink it, just start it. So for example, if your goal is, and it might seem like too small to be a goal, but if it is to have a difficult conversation and you know what you want to say, just tell yourself 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, count down to yourself and just start the conversation. So don't wait to feel ready. So let's do a quick summary of what we have discussed today. Number one, to improve your motivation, start small, right? Think of it as the first step to a big goal. Number two, find your why. Why is a goal important to you? What is the purpose of doing that task? Number three, design your environment to make taking action easier, right? Set up cues, set up reminders, and get going. Number four, break down your goals, break down your task into sub goals, and reward yourself when you achieve small sub goals as well. And number five, don't wait to feel motivated. Take action first, motivation will follow. I hope these strategies were useful for you. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below and share it with someone who may need it.